Today, we are talking about women. No, wait. We're not talking about women. We are trying to understand women, you and me together. And this talk is not for any specific gender. It's for the human to understand the human. So, why are we talking about women and not about man? The reason is simple. We live still in a patriarchal society. It's not an opinion. If you can't see it, you're blind cognitively. A species that's called Homo sapiens, sapiens, meaning wise, is stupid enough to still use the term mankind to define the whole of humanity. It doesn't have the basic conscientious capacity to use a term that would not be based on one gender, such as humanity or humankind. It keeps on using most humans till this day keep on using terms like man and mankind to define the whole of humanity, and somehow they keep saying that it's part of tradition. It's just how it has been since the very beginning of language. Well, in that case, these are among those things which we can call traditionally passed on nonsense. Just because we use something or our ancestors have been using it for a long time does not make it civilized, wise, or correct, or right, or righteous. I'm not going into all the debate of what is righteous and what is not, but what is definitely not righteous is using terms like mankind and man to define all genders. Women. Most men often make this statement. The most complicated creatures on earth are women. You can hear it in many places from many men. Why? Because they don't understand women, and that's quite natural for one gender not being able to understand another gender. But the point is, if one wants to understand woman herself, I'm not talking to man or woman or any other gender, I'm talking to the human mind, to you. I'm not seeing you as a man or woman or anything else. I'm just seeing you as a human. So if one wants to understand the female mind, he or she has to understand the process of menstruation. That's the basic biology of it. Men don't understand women as much as women understand men, because women go through this unique neurochemical shift throughout their lifetime, throughout every month, since puberty till menopause. It's a constant shift. After menopause, there is a different kind of shift happening. So that would take another talk for us to discuss. But for now, we are talking about the most, let's just call it productive years, both physiologically and psychologically, since puberty till menopause. So, psychological shift. These shifts happen in the female mind relentlessly. I have said in one of my works, the chemicals in a woman's neuroanatomy construct her perception of reality. Now, there is another way of saying it, that we all perceive reality based on the simulation that is created in our brain by neurochemicals. But here we are specifically talking about a relentlessly shifting reality, a reality that is constantly changing. And that doesn't happen to the male brain, male psyche, as much as it happens to the female psyche. The female psyche constantly goes through psychological shifts. Sometimes she's happy, certain period of a month, and other times she's not. She's extremely anxious. She's extremely irritated. All kinds of negative emotions creep into her psyche because they are born there due to neurochemicals. So because of those chemicals, tell a woman what is important for her and what is not. And these constant urges, constant instincts, instinctual drives shape a woman's perception of reality and a woman's perception of the people close to her. Could be her colleagues, could be her loved ones. But the point is, the usual complaint that we mental health professionals come across quite often is men complaining not being able to understand their women. Why? Because men do not go through such psychological storms, we can call them. There is what you know as PMS, premenstrual syndrome. I would rather call it premenstrual storm, because that's exactly like it. A woman goes through a cognitive storm, a kind of storm of emotions, urges, drives, just shaking everything up in her subjective realm. And that happens every single month for all women. And for some cases, in some extreme cases of PMS, which we call PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is a certain menstrual condition as in a few women have this extreme levels of psychological storms that are not usually there in most women. So in those cases, we call it PMDD. So that's an exceptional condition. Otherwise, all women go through psychological shifts. Sometimes they simply need to cry. Now the point is, women need to express. The female brain may not be specifically more emotional than men, but the truth is that neurological truth is the female brain is evolutionarily programmed to be more sensitive to emotional cues from her environment, and that makes the female brain more emotionally sensitive. That's why, and on top of that, when the premenstrual storm kicks in, so her world is basically upside down and she needs to express. So the only person probably she would have is her partner, and that partner has to be able to understand or recognize the fact that that woman's expression of emotions at such an intensity does not necessarily indicate any wrongdoings or anything bad. It simply means she is going through her natural psychological shift and she is simply expressing. It does not mean anything significant except for the fact that it is a natural part of the female psyche, and that, my dear men, you need to understand. She just needs to cry sometimes. Doesn't mean anything. She just needs to. And when she does, please do not judge or analyze her behavior, anything like that. Especially that is the moment when she is most sensitive. So anything you say, no matter how well intentional it is, she might see it as a judgment. So do not try to judge during those moments when she needs to cry or express her emotions. Simply be there for her, nothing else. And you'll see that just by being there when she is over with expressing her emotions, whichever way she prefers, hugging you, crying her brains out, once she is done with it and the levels of hormones come down to normal, those shifts come down to normal, and the tides change, the mental tides change, she will come back to her usual cheerful state. That's the normal procedure, how the female psyche works every single month. There is nothing wrong in it. There is nothing disturbing in it. It is only disturbing when you do not know what's happening, but you know what's happening. She is going through her usual psychological shift. That's very natural, so simply be there for her. All a woman needs is understanding attached with care. So that's the whole process of loving her. Give her love, give her understanding. That's all she needs.